I think I'm saying that we struggle all our lives to answer it. But it's the struggle that is important. That's what helps us to define our place in the universe.
This is Beverly, Dr. Beverly, Dr. Beverly Crusher.
Look where we are. Here, all of us, in this moment. So let's do what we spent our entire lives learning to be great at.
And this is Crusher Convo.
And welcome to Crusher Convo. We're crushing the conversation one episode at a time. We are circling back to the series finale of Star Trek Picard, The Last Generation, where the OGs are the universe's last hope. And I have a special guest, Jason, from the 60,000 Light Years podcast, joining me tonight. Welcome, Jason.
Howdy. Glad to be here.
I am so excited about this. There's going to be so much Bev talk. I'm so stoked. So be prepared. Buckle in.
We can always go for Trek. I'm here for any type of Trek talk. So if we going deep into Bev, we going deep into Bev.
Perfect. That's what I want to hear. Now, before we get started, I'm going to jump over here to my sponsor, Cherry Tree. Use my code CrusherConvo6 to get 6% off your order. If you head over to mycherrytree.com, you can get BoardCube computers, you can get Rectogeno mugs, and now they have these really cool little Defiant USB storage things. Like, it's so cool. So hit up the website and also follow them on the socials at Cherry Tree Incorporated. And let me just, I got mine. Here we are. Little Defiant. And then, look at that.
Neat one.
I need that. Yep. 6% off the order. Okay, use my code.
Will do.
And got a Rectogeno mug. Like, there's a whole thing. There's Klingon keyboards. It's the best. I love these people so much.
That USB is getting added to the collection. Yes, it's happening.
Yes, exactly. Someone did ask when he was on Larry's show, because I guess this is the docking part, this little part here. Mm-hmm. And they're like, it should look like it's docking. He's like, we're going to do a little bit bigger one, and then this will be a C one. They're going to do another one, but a C, so it looks like it's docked. They got all the ideas. Now, Jason, this year I am asking the question for the 60th anniversary. What female character do you find inspiring?
Ooh, anticipating this one, off jump, I'd probably lean more recent with Sam as a Star Trek female character. But for me, it's just, as a whole, kind of jumps out at me. My mom jumps in because she was the big fan of all the strong female characters back in the day as it was happening. She was a big Kalar fan back in the day. She of course loved Crusher. She loved Yar during the first season. Then of course would go on to love Jadzia and Major Kira in Deep Space Nine because they would kick butt. So I think of that.
I love your mom, by the way.
Yeah, I think of that kind of one the question. But for me, I think it's more recent with. I really love the stuff they were doing with Sam on Starfleet Academy. That was just some grabbing stuff. And even right there alongside with Captain Ake, the two of them, I think, produced a nice dynamic of just character in general, and happened to be some strong female characters that tops for the show for me.
I love that you mentioned Sam because she is now the new face for the next generation, the next generation, right? And the one thing, it's Carice, right? Carice Brooks,
yep.
Is that? Yes. She had to do such a shift. Sorry, spoilers, guys, if you have not seen Starfleet Academy. Mute us now for a hot second. But she had to go from such a shift of being like this very ADHD, bubbly, I was programmed to be this awkward kid and try and learn and love everything, to actually experiencing a childhood and going through the different motions that we go through, the awkwardness and stuff and everything. And she shifted so perfectly. Like, you could tell that it's Sam, but it's like Sam 2.0, right? You could just right see. Away. Yes. And I think she did a brilliant job, especially having the 1.0 wanting the doctor to be her mentor. And then 2.0, she's like, Dad. I mean, it was just such a perfect circle. And then, of course, we were talking behind the scenes in the green room. We were talking about how much her episode with Cisco and having Jake and everything, you know, I was bawling like a baby. It was a brilliant episode and such an homage to Avery, who he took Trek, in my opinion, to a whole new level. And my very first DS9 episode I did was Far Beyond the Stars, because I really wanted to not only showcase, you know, the history they were trying to bring in, but just the way he acted and directed in that episode. It was just, you know, just emotionally grabbing. And I was like, this is Trek, right? Like, we could talk about ships and technobabble, but that, I think, heart, kind of like what you're kind of mentioning, you know, you're with your mom and everything, that's the heart of Trek.
I mean, that's
of it all.
Star Trek, as you kind of entered into the question, was at 60 years. It's 60 years of just a variety of people finding heart in a bunch of different ways throughout all the different iterations of this franchise and variety of characters. And yeah, kudos to Carice. Like, just I got to imagine, as daunting in a way and challenging, it had to have been fun, because I don't think we've seen the character be able to demonstrate that much range. As you said, like, we had this happy team, bubbly, exploring the universe, and then you came on and you saw a shift in personality dynamics and what they had fun. So I'm really looking forward to what they're going to do with her coming up in season 2, just because of what she was able to bring in season 1.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we ever saw that kind of range since Brent Spiner, because he had to play like Data being bad, this, that, you know, as a little child, but then like in Mask, as much as it's a horrible episode, I think he did brilliant playing like 5 different characters, and he would just shift.
I mean,
real quick.
Brent's
and
amazing.
Just, yeah. And I think Carice kind of hit that bar just like Brent did, or Brett set, I should say. And so, yeah, I can't wait for season 2. Just wish we were getting more, and I don't want to get depressed. So let's talk about, let's not be depressed. We're going to be talking about today. Of course, this is the final episode of the series, but it's fine. But we are talking about the series finale of Star Trek Picard, The Last Generation. And here is a clip.
Beverly, lead me to our son.
I can lead you to the next level, but after that, the interference increases. And I'm unable to be more specific with Jack's location. Jean-Luc,
Beverly, you thought of Jack from the beginning, shielding him from danger. You did everything right.
And obviously, I picked one of the most emotional scenes in the episode, but I had to share it. And of course, Abby from First Flight Podcast had said, when Picard tells her she did everything right, that moment on her face embodied perfection. So I definitely had to do that. But here are the stats for the episode. It premiered on April 20th, 2023. We just celebrated the 3 years of it airing. It was, of course, directed and written by Terry Matalas, and the in-universe date was 2401 and 2402, because they did that nice little time jump. So, okay, I got a lot to say. I got a list here, but let's start with you. When you saw this finale and everything they threw at you, okay, because, you know, there's Vox, a lot happened with Vox. I was kind of pissed off at Jack, whatever, but as they're going in and they're trying to now, we got to go save the universe for the 10th time, and leading us into the Enterprise D and going against the Borg and all that stuff. What were you feeling in this moment as a fan, seeing them all together again for one last time?
Oh, okay. A lot of emotions there. There's a long backstory with Star Trek and my dad. My dad never made it to see Picard. A lot of emotions there. So it was one of those like, I just remember it being, we felt okay. We were starting to feel okay with Trek in this era. Like, so it was like, this Disco, you had the end of Disco coming. Disco 5 was in a good place. You had Lower Decks kind of in a good place, and they were some. It was feeling good in Trek. And I also remember, like, it's interesting that you picked that moment as the clip, because I remember some of the discussion throughout the show was, I don't want to necessarily trying to say coming hard on Crusher, but there were questions about what's going on here? Why did she do what she do? How did this really work out? So to have in that moment in the show for Picard to even acknowledge, hey, you did the right thing, because folks were wondering on the outside how it's going to like that. To me, it was like perfect to see kind of in this complicated relationship, the two of them kind of come to that resolve. And as fans, we got happy. So it's like just this whole episode, just I remember, like, it's hard to think it was 3 years ago already. Just how it was a good time in Trek. That's what I really remember. It was a good time in Trek, and I hold that dear.
I had just started Crusher Convo really that year, just because the show was about to come out, and I remember waking up at 1 a.m. when the episode would drop, watch the episode, and then like tweet about it, try to sleep, wake up at like 4:30 in the morning because I had to go to work. And then I would watch it again while I was at work, and then and then come home, and then I would talk about it with people, because at the time it wasn't really a podcast. I was doing Twitter Spaces, and so I was talking to other people. Let's discuss. I mean, it was a time to be alive. Those were some very sleepless nights. Now, before we continue, we do have a Happy Bookworm in the chat, Jamie Lynn, and of course, Jay Marie saying, glad he admitted it. I am too. And also says, yes, it's good that he admitted it. Now, I was excited. I mean, this was a perfect time for me to be a fan of Star Trek, especially Beverly Crusher. As everyone knows, I started watching it just the year before in 2022. I started watching it before it was even announced that the old gang was coming back. Mm-hmm. And so I think it was First Contact Day that they made the announcement. And I remember the trailer where they were dropping the names, Brent and Gates and Jonathan and everyone's name coming down. And I went to go show my husband, because I was all like, I want to see his reaction. This is his moment. Like, I'm new. I'm not important. But for him, this is going to be great. And I just remember handing him the phone. I'm just like watching anticipation as he's looking. He's like, and I think he said something along the lines as he's watching it. He's like, oh shit. I was like, yep, here we go. But I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I didn't know how they were going to approach the whole Crusher and Picard stuff, because we knew he was with Laris and all this stuff. So I was very anticipating what might happen. Was I happy with everything? No. But
not perfect. There's issues.
Not happy with everything. But there were moments that I felt, and I always give this credit to Trev over at the salon, Beverly did the wrong thing for the right reasons. Just, yes, she shouldn't have taken Jack away from Picard. That sucked. But she had a good reason for it. Yeah. So it wasn't like she was trying to be vindictive and horrible. And she lost everything. Beverly lost her whole life, her career, everything to protect her son. And that is just a testament to her character, and also that she always puts others first before her own. But with it being the Borg again, I know people are like, recycle. And we just dealt with Borg 2.0, whatever, in season 2. And then we get Borg again in season 3. Did you feel like, Borg again? Or did you feel like this story kind of made more sense than what we got in season 2?
I look at Picard as a whole.
Okay.
Yeah. Come on. Borg fatigue. Like, really, I understand it's important to this guy. But if you look at season 3, it's its own thing. It's like home run, smack it out of the park. Like, if you're going to do Borg, that's the story you tell, because it's not necessarily just about the scariness of the Borg. It's about it's specifically more so about the character of the Queen and this kind of weird throuple going on that he's got.
Obsession.
Picard, Locutus, Queen, Beverly. I think it works. So it's not as Borg forward. But yeah, it was one of the issues of the time. Is there's a lot of going back to the well in a way. And I was hoping, and I think a lot of us were hoping, and this was like, hey, okay, yep, we did it. We went back to the well, we hit the home run, enjoyed it, good nostalgia hit, the one thing everybody asked for. And can we move forward? And we have not yet, I think, in the way that a lot of people wanted to. But in what they did, even though people were kind of curious or questionable, did they want this? I think they delivered for the most part as well as you could expect, even though not perfect. Yeah, it's a solid A+ enjoyable ride, I think, and it hopefully encouraged, some people like yourself, newbies to the franchise, to want to go back and explore more, even, more interest than you might have had before.
That's a good way of putting it. It's kind of hard for me to think of Picard as a whole, just because season 1, 2, and 3 were so different. I think you could see season 1 and then season 3 and you're fine, but season 2 was so way, way, way out there that to me, that story of the Borg didn't hit like they thought it should. So let's just say like season 2 didn't happen. This story made sense. And like you were saying, that they're kind of like hitting that whole Borg Queen Picard / Leclutus Crusher
Weird.
whatever going on in the form of Jack. And as I was watching the season, I kept saying, because we're realizing something's wrong with Jack, something's going on. I kept saying over and over again, I was like, he's not just the son of Picard, he's also the son of Locutus. And I kept saying that. I was like, guys, he's also the son of Locutus. But I really liked how Terry did it with the Borg DNA and, basically Jack being the first organic Borg of it all. And of course, it has to be Beverly having to do that. But I think the way that they did that kind of a story, and then also Picard, that moment at the end where he was all like, I've been running for half my life and now I have something to go back for. I thought that was a really good, solid way of Picard just finally letting go of that trauma, because he was now focusing on someone else for once, So I think he did that. I think Terry did that very, very well. But yes, I think now it's like, okay, Borg, done. Put it to bed. Don't do anymore. We can't do it. But was there anything in the last episode besides, of course, the OG characters kicking butt, that you were just like, oh, this is perfect, or this is great, or whatever?
I mean, for me, it's the close of it, because I think what's also interesting is, when you were kind of giving your answer, the dynamic of you are more so able to look at it as just a season of, you don't have the tie that your husband has to some of these characters. Like, so for a lot of us, like this was the, I don't want to say payback, but it was like a little bit of retribution and the proper send off that we wanted for this cast of characters, this crew, this family that we had been waiting for just about 20 years because of the stinker that was Nemesis. Like there's a sour taste. So there is kind of that long emotional tie to it that for some of us, as long as you didn't tell a horrible story, you were going to pass the test. And just for me, like that ending scene, them at the poker table, calling back to the finale, the music going on. 'Cause I'm a big music fan when it comes to Trek. And like, that's one of the things they got in the season, right, was good music cues and harkbacks and taking it forward. And so just, for me, it would be that ending scene of just them and what representing them, like that was kind of them out of character in a way. It was just natural cutting. So just it's all wrapped up in that scene, I think, of what the episode was, what the season was, and what that moment in Trek was. So for me, it's probably that last scene with the zoom out and the score going. I can listen to that, watch it over and over again.
Have you seen the 10-minute version that they have in the season?
Yes. Yeah, like that's
and it's just all
shot
of
right
them.
in the arm. That's give that to me sometimes. I don't need it all the time, but just when you give it to me good like that, I will take it all.
That is 35 plus years of friendship of just getting at each other, and it was perfect. And Terry did a good job. He was like, "We're just gonna let the cameras roll. You guys do you." Just like, you don't need my direction. Go for it. He understood the assignment. Now, mentioning Nemesis, though, I think I remember my husband telling me when he saw the movie in the theaters, he walked out and he was like, "That was bullshit." He was like, "Nope." I mean, he was so pissed that they killed off Data. He was like, he was just so mad. Even to this day, he was all like, "I still am pissed." He's like, "I'm so glad we got Picard." It's just like
that was me in my teenage years. Like, what? I get to witness a slight kind of death moment. Like, that was, that's okay, nice.
Not cool, man, not cool.
Hey.
Before we continue on with my Beverly Fest that I have of my list here, I do want to mention Raffi and Seven, because they were also the highlight of this episode. And okay, so here's my little nitpick. We didn't get enough Safi and all the seasons, okay? So thank you, Terry, for at least giving us something at the end. But it was just a little odd about how they were like together for 2 seconds at the end of season 1, and then they're like not together in season 2, but then they're getting back together, but then they're not together again in season. It's like, what the hell? Can you just stop doing this? Okay.
Of the 10 episode season problem, which is that's a deep dive, but that is the essence of that. You don't have enough time.
You don't have enough time.
But no, I agree with you. Yes.
It's just, it was, and again, it was great for them working together because you could see that they're just a really good team and they work well together. And seeing Seven as the captain, as she's out with the Titan and everything, trying to, help Picard in a way so they can do their thing. But again, I feel like we just didn't have enough. And then even when it was all over, I mean, we get the moment where Seven is promoted to captain from Tuvok, and then we have the Raffi and Worf stuff, which was the whole season between those two were great. But and then we just get the year flip of like, well, now she's my first officer, and I don't know, and I'm like, are they friends? Are they not? Like, what's going on? I don't know. So, but hearing Seven become captain of the Enterprise, no less, just was like, and guys, this was before I even got to see Voyager. So I saw Seven backwards.
Oh.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to see Voyager. And I'm all like, her character arc is literally, in my opinion, the best character arc of Trek history. Of where she started as Annika, became 7 of 9, and had to go through this whole transition of, because she was a Borg for 20 years, they were saying, or something like that.
Yeah, good chunk like
and that. then all of a sudden having to basically come back to society, and she struggled. And they showed that struggle in season 1 and season 2 of Picard, and especially in season 3 of Picard, especially with her, issues with Shaw and her still being part Borg, even though she's trying to be her authentic self. Her landing the captain seat of the Enterprise is huge, and it's one of those things of like, here's an ex-Borg and her taking the reins of it. Like, this is so much had to happen to pave the way for Seven to get the seat.
It was an interesting way of that acceptance. That story of, yes, I'm Annika Hansen at birth, transformed as a 7 of 9, rescued, and then she remains kind of 7 of 9, but trying to discover what it means to be human. So we assume she's trying to make her way back to Annika Hansen, but that's not really the case, because then you fast forward and we see here she is struggling with that, and you get that, okay, I'm going to force you as Shaw to become Hansen. That's not quite working, to that acceptance of, yes, I am both human and it's a great character arc. It's one of the reasons I think a lot of us want to see more in what they called legacy and stuff, because right. I think it is one of the more interesting ones, and Star Trek works best when it understands its viewpoint of other, and I think they show that they understand how 7 of 9 works as an other. And some of the incredible stories, they could tell through that. Because, I mean, I think that relationship balance between, yes, my first officer, what is that between us? And then, yes, I have now the son of let's call Picard, in a way of what he is, a weird mentor, because he's also like some cool storytelling could be done there while we wanted it.
I see like a little brother situation, and even helping him,
yes.
With the whole Borg aftermath. Of course, his was only like 30 seconds versus hers, but still, I mean, it's just, it was traumatic. It was traumatic. It was all trauma. Now, Happy Bookworm says, and Picard facing the Borg to save Jack was a nice contrast to his actions in I, Borg and First Contact, and his diagnosis of Irumodic syndrome being Borg leftover. And I found that, funny how, yes, they were mentioning that he still had the Irumodic syndrome, and we're like, oh yeah, they took that from AGT, that's cool. And then all of a sudden he died from it, all right, whatever. But then it was like, oh, that wasn't it at all. That was, and it's so funny because if you go back to All Good Things, Beverly even, because he's all like, you didn't notice this before. And she's like, well, we wouldn't have noticed it if it was like a level 4 scan or something. But it was like all of a sudden nothing was there and now it's there. And it had only been a couple of years since he had been assimilated by the Borg. And so it was like that little moment that he took, and he was like, we're just going to take that and we're going to turn it into a whole story.
That's one of the cool things about Star Trek and its 60 years is like, and its way of doing television back then was its ability to not everything having to be connected, stories with holes, breadcrumbs, whatever, so that now, here we are 30, 35, 40 years later, somebody could be like, oh, I could make a cool connection with this and tie some things together that may not have been intended to, but it's that ability to use what came before. And so,
Right.
that cool factor of using real lifetime and understanding what happened in this character's life to like, no, it wasn't that. We can switch it and make it into this to tell a new story. That's the magic of Star Trek. Very few franchises can tell that type of story or even in that position to do that type of thing to where, we saw the seeds of this being planted 35 years ago. That's wild.
And, I think what's so great about these showrunners, so like Terry and Aaron and, Mike McMahon, they all are fans and they all know these shows. I mean, Mike McMahon is such a huge TNG fan. He took one episode and made a whole series out of it. And even with Aaron and Jennifer, who, Jennifer Marrow, I believe who is the other one who had helped with Prodigy, there are little moments where Wesley in season 2, again, spoilers, guys, if you haven't seen Prodigy, but he's like, does anyone need a sweater? I have plenty, right? And that's just an homage back to all his sweaters in season 1. But he told Beverly when he left, because she's like, make sure you stay warm on those other planes of existence. And it was like, oh, he listened to his mom. Like, just that alone is like gut-wrenching. And you're like, oh my gosh. And then it just heightens these episodes even more, because I'm going to go back and I'm going to think, well, in 20 years, he's wearing sweaters while he's traveling through time.
Even in Prodigy, like them doing that one scene towards the end of season 2, and you kind of get that call back to this episode, or at least because at some point they mentioned to Picard how she hadn't seen Wesley in a while. So we kind of get a little more extension on that story. We're at the end, spoilers, at the end of Prodigy, we don't physically see it, but we kind of get that it happens and kind of how it kicked off. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. These cool little breadcrumbs that they drop. Yeah, you love that approach, and that ability to make it feel whole, to make this universe feel lived in, like these things are always going on. These characters' lives are continuing, and we get these peek-ins. Yeah,
and it connects the stories as well, as much as, and Larry Nemeczek talks about this all the time, is where he says, everyone gets all, sometimes it's like, oh, memory berries and nostalgia and whatever. He's like, but it is the history of it, You can't just erase the past because you want new stories. Yes, new stories is great, but you still have to mention that Beverly existed or Picard or Data or whatever, because they paved the road for these new characters,
Not even mentioning they existed. Let's take it back to almost like we were in the beginning. Sam and her, as people call it, the Cisco and Deep Space Nine episode. I personally, and this is me, Cisco fan number 1, Deep Space Nine is the best thing there is to Star Trek. I hate people calling it that because that's slightly disrespectful to the story, because what the story does is what you kind of just said there. It is Sam's story being told kind of through this character that we have known in some things, and it's a great connection, but it truly is Sam's story. She's interacting with the history just like we would interact with a story about George Washington or Martin Luther King or whatever, getting some, so, and I think that's the beauty of what Star Trek really could do. Because again, what very few franchises have at this point, 60 years of actual history. And at this point, we have 1,000 years of actual show history that we've lived. That's a lot of space to play with. And it's one of the disappointing things about Academy is because I think they had found that nice balance of, it can feel like member berries because we've actually seen this and experienced this because the show is so old. But also at the same time, it wasn't strictly, we're doing this just so you say, aha, see that? No, it was like, oh, we're using this as part of this story for this character. And that's what I'd love to see more from the show.
That's what I love about Trek. and, honoring the past characters in a way that really highlights the characters that they're showing now. Like they did the memory wall or whatever, like the wall of fame, whatever you want to call it. And it had all the names, and they had, of course, Beverly Crusher.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a reason that they had those names. It was like, don't forget, because, they're after the burn, they're starting over, and they're like, these are the people that paved the way for us. Honor them in a way, right? And that's all it was.
Here. We do that in our lives. Like that.
Yes, we do. And everyone's all like, why'd you do that? And it's like, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? I don't get it. But even just bringing back everybody for this final season, and again, it was like, oh, they brought back the Enterprise D, and it was great. And, some people cried, and I loved those videos of emotions because it means so much to you guys. But some people were like, but did we need it? Well, you know what? Yeah, you did, because it was a freaking manual ship and it was a time system, and it made sense to bring it back. So I think
some people just never gonna be happy. Like
No.
And unfortunately, I think as much as the strength of it is of Trek, it's also a weakness. We all love this show for a variety of different reasons. You love it for Doc. One of the reasons is Doc Crusher.
Mm-hmm.
Great, and I love to hear about that. Engage with people about that. Some people love it because of AB. But I think, unfortunately, in this era, we cannot agree on things because they don't get to feed us like we used to be fed, or what you got to experience with some of those bigger seasons. But I think just some folks just don't want to be happy right now, and it is hard. It takes more of a concentrated effort, and this season 3 was one of those like, okay, for this brief moment, majority of us were okay with it, and got to really enjoy what was. Seeing every moment, every character get their moment, and just like Crusher, that moment of fire in the face is doing the spinning, and everybody at the bridge.
Badass
like,
Bev.
Really? And she's like, yeah. I've lived life. And it's just like, yes, you love to see the characters in the situations and having those things. And we spent time with these characters. So it's beautiful to see that kind of growth.
I'm glad you mentioned Badass Bev, because I just liked how everyone just turned around like, and she's like, a lot's happened. Like, just we'll talk later. And it was this little moment. And what's funny is, like, even in the earlier of the season, Terry knew there was going to be questions. He just knew there was going to be those fans being like, why this? Like, he threw in the whole, why does Jack have an accent? And she's like, well, we went to England and he grew up in because he knew fans were going to be like, why does he have an accent? It's just like, here, just take it and run with it. All right. Like, it's just
how much of this stuff do you want to dissect? Like there's that point, like as beautiful as it is, Star Trek is also a TV show. Like at some point, it's and I know everybody's got different levels. Okay, at what point am I going to check out here? Like, okay, here's my suspension of disbelief. For me, there's just something. I'm just like, yeah, that's TV show. Cool. I'm not going to sit on that too long because this is also a TV show.
I know when they were mentioning that in Starfleet Academy, and they were talking about the beam me up, the transporter got phasers, and they're like, well, I can't think of her name right now. How was she able to destroy the replicators with it? And I was like, guys, suspension of disbelief, just run with it.
It's interesting. I wish sometimes I could be there as you go through TOS right now, like because. Seeing it back, but here we are. You're seeing this and experiencing it for the first time 60 years later, and complete like TOS is in its own category compared to the rest of Star Trek, but it's also the foundation of like. Yeah. I can imagine you in your eyes. There has to be a big suspension of your belief going into it, just because you see that it's completely different than anything you've taken in.
And here's the thing: my favorite movie is Jaws. So I was born with the suspension of disbelief already in my back pocket. Okay. So I'm just saying, I'm just throwing that out there. Now Jaws 1 and 2 is fine. We don't talk about 3 and 4. That's dead to me. But anyways, but let's kind of shift this real fast before, to the Beverly angle of it all, because there's a lot here that, as you were mentioning earlier with the Borg Queen, that really shifted into this. I don't want to call it a threesome, even though Worf made that joke. Just this weird triangle of sorts, And in one of my notes, I put the Borg Queen used Beverly's voice to lure Jack, making him think it was his mother. And then, of course, the Borg Queen did state that he found her. So it was just a happy accident that Jack was born and that he had this Borg DNA, that she was like, oh, I can go after the Federation. And she waited 20 freaking years to go after them. But it was so sad that she used Beverly a lot in this. Even when she said, what was it, self-assurance of a mother's love, where she told Picard, and Picard's like, you're not his mother, and starts firing at her. And it was just like she was trying to replace Beverly after Beverly sacrificed so much for Jack.
That's where you get an interesting dynamic, because as we mentioned, Beverly made the wrong choice, but for the right reasons. She's the good mother, sacrificed everything to protect the child. You have, on the other hand, the Borg Queen, which is essentially playing the role of the bad mother, selfish mother, who even Beverly said, if anybody truly knows what this connection is, they would try to use it for their own gain. Well, here you have another representation of a mother, essentially, who is trying to use a weird version of her child in whatever way you want to look at it, but essentially using her child for her own personal gain to fulfill this vendetta. So it's an interesting dynamic of what you see in this showdown and where you eventually see is, okay, no, yes, the bad mom, that, all that kind of stuff. And the dad helps sorts it out. But it's an interesting dynamic between the two. I don't think she's necessarily playing. In a weird way, she is. Like I said, it's a weird, when you really it works. It's beautiful. It's brilliant, but it's also weird. But hey, that's what you can do in Star Trek. And it's it's that interesting view in this dynamic of this relationship of good mom, bad mom, and who am I as the son? What have I been with, and what's tantalizing, and who am I listening to, and all that kind of good stuff.
So here's the question, because I felt, as much as it was great seeing Beverly on the bridge and being badass Bev and all of that stuff, I felt that it would have been more poignant if Beverly had gone down with Picard to save Jack together, to face the Queen together, because as much as Picard has always had this trauma of the Borg, Beverly was always a step behind him with that trauma. She's the one that unassimilated him, okay? She was the one that started the whole how to unassimilate Borg, which started with Seven, went to the doctor, which started at Seven, which then go to the XBs. Like, that was Beverly's research with Picard. And then she ends up having this Borg child that I felt it would have been so much better if she had gone down there and they faced her together, because they both suffered a trauma in very different ways. His, of course, is up here. Hers is here. But she kind of got forced into it. Do you think that would have shifted the story a little bit, since you're talking about the good mom, bad mom scenario?
I think
if Beverly was there,
if you had more time, you could have played with it. Because to be honest, I never thought of that dynamic really before till we were in this conversation. So it's like, yeah, I wish we could have seen a little bit more, because you do only really hit it in this episode and then you're out. Like, it's not like the Borg Queen was throughout the season. She's very much so in the background, and then you get her here. And I think that would have been kind of cool, but I think unfortunately it's kind of just what we see in a lot is, okay, what's the story we're trying to tell? How much can we fit in? Okay, yeah, this is Picard. He's really all we truly need. But I think if we had more time, I think you could have got, because I could also envision a showdown between Crusher and the Borg Queen in some kind of mama showdown, a la in a way what we kind of got in the Academy this past season. I think that would have been cool too. But I think that's, again, TV show. It would have been nice to see, TV show reasons getting in the way of what could have been.
Yeah, and like you said, the shorter seasons, there's only so much that they could do. And of course, Terry's vision was this whole father-son dynamic, right? He was really trying to show that part, which I totally get. But, I think it was a missed opportunity
for sure,
in a way. And of course, Beverly had to make those horrible decisions on the ship, where all of a sudden she realizes that she has to sacrifice Jack and Picard in order to save the universe, and Geordi has to ask her the question, and that emotional roller coaster that she goes through, it's heartbreaking, because she's literally about to lose her whole family. She hasn't seen Wesley since Jack was a child. She's now about to lose Picard. She about to lose Jack, who she sacrificed so much for. And it's that moment of just despair of like, what was it all for? And it's so sad to see Beverly have to go through again more sacrifices. You know, lost her, like she mentioned, she lost her parents, her husband, she lost her son. And of course, finally, yay, happy ending. It worked out. But there was a moment where you just didn't know if it was going to work out.
That magic tension.
And the magic tangent. And of course, Gates played it so well that it was gut wrenching of just the little moments of her just, you know, deciding, or even, you know, that slight smile and nod, giving Geordi the, you know, confirmation that yes, this is what they're going to have to do. Though I wonder, why didn't Geordi go and why did he have her do the phasers into the bush? I'm like, why does he have?
You needed somebody to. Yeah, I think you just want to say.
I was all like, shouldn't Geordi be like, do you want me to do it? You know, like, I'll do it for you. It's okay, you know, because I don't. You're about to kill your son and your husband. Well, not husband. Wishful thinking. I mean, you know what I mean. But the thing is, it's just, I don't know. It's just, it was such a roller coaster, and even with Troy and Riker, because, you know, they were going through this whole thing about losing their son, and now all of a sudden she might lose him. But it's just, it was a wonderful little gift with the little bow on top that he kind of was just like, here you go, their last adventure. It works out, yay. Even though I don't think it was perfect, like you said, just seeing them together again, doing the poker scene. Thank you, Belinda Snodgrass, because she was the first one that did the poker scene in season 2. And as much as I wish they had done things differently, it still was good in how it turned out, even though there are little misses.
And that's where I get to most of the time, is as long as I can enjoy the product, even if I may be like, hey, I wish I could change this, or I wish they went this way, or I might have enjoyed this angle a little bit more. As long as I enjoyed the product, I can be cool with having those things. There's a couple series and where I'm like, I didn't enjoy the product, and there were some obvious choices you could have made, and it's like that's where it gets a little agitating. But I can live comfortably. It's like, oh, great. We wouldn't have got that tension if she's down there with Picard. Like, we only get that tension because she's here. And I think it's one of those, again, we made choices here. Would I have made some different choices? Sure. Would you possibly? Right. But I'm not mad at the ones they made. When you make bad choices, that's when it's like, oh, you could have. Great moment.
You ruined it.
Right in front of you. You missed it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, the one nitpick, though, I'm going to have to say, though, I do not believe that they should have renamed the Titan.
I love the design of the Titan. I love the design.
Yes.
It's a beautiful, because Constitution class is my favorite when it comes to the ships. I love the great take on it. I didn't understand. You named it the Titan to force the connection to Riker, because the Titan was a completely different ship design. Like, if you're going to do a refit, why are you making it a completely different version of the ship? And we're still pretty canonically close to the old life of the other ship. That's like, that's like taking the Enterprise crashed, and instead of the Enterprise A being another Constitution class refit, they give them a Reliant class. Like, well, no, you can't do that. So, like, yeah, that I wasn't a big fan of the naming of that vessel, because then it's like, okay, now we're forcing it to be calling it the Enterprise, and it's just like, you're not doing nothing with it either.
And my issue was that the Titan kind of created its own legacy, right? This little ship kicked some butt with the Borg and all that stuff. There was a whole bunch of people who died that were part of that Titan crew. And then it was all like, well, we're calling it Enterprise. And I was like, I mean, I love that she's Captain 7 of the Enterprise, but I just wish that they did not have to rename the ship.
The Titan also is not, she's a nice looking ship, good looking ship, but she's clearly not the top of the line ship either. Like, especially when in this, the part right before this, we're seeing the Enterprise G and or whatever, like they're getting retired. And it's like, that's a good looking flagship type looking ship. The Titan does not look like your flagship. And the Enterprise, like, that's one of my, like, it's supposed to be a flagship. That's supposed to be like the top of the line new model. Don't be giving that to, we scrap this together and we're going to do it because we want this moment. Like, the Enterprise is supposed to be a flagship.
Yes, exactly. And Ed from My Figure Universe said it was slightly disrespectful, and I agree. I absolutely agree. Now, Ed also has more to say. He says, since Seven was the captain, they should have named it Voyager. I could see that. I mean, I think just because Voyager had nothing to do with the episode, that's why they didn't. But I think it would have been nice if she was captain of the, like...
Well, technically, at this point, you have still, I would assume, Voyager A, which we saw in Prodigy,
Right.
is still in service because this Prodigy ends right before, essentially, a couple years before Picard season 1.
Prodigy ended when Jack was like 5.
Right, so 20 years.
So we're talking, yeah.
It's not crazy lifespan. That's just me trying to make headcanon. I don't know. Whatever.
I know. We all have our headcanon. We all have our wishes that just, but again, short seasons, we do what we can get. This is what the ratings had to say.
By trichord.
All right. So I got 6 votes. Okay. And 50%, so 3 votes, gave it 5 manual ships. 17% gave it 4 poker games. 17% gave it 3 portable beam-me-ups. There was 0 for 2 sacrifices, and we had 1 Borg Queen. And that 1 Borg Queen went shout out to Grayson. Okay. If anyone doesn't know Grayson, TV Grayson on Blue Sky everywhere, this is what he had to say about his feelings about the end of Picard.
Hey, Jesse, it's Grayson, a.k.a. TV Guy Grayson on Blue Sky and host of the Prime Detective podcast. Here's my penny. I will say there are pieces of it that make me so very happy. Just seeing the bridge again, when Tuvok says request denied captain to 7 of 9. I mean, the fact that it was Tuvok saying that to 7 of 9. There's a ton to love about this episode. There's a ton that I cannot stand. I hate the fact that it was so magical that by blowing up the beacon and the Borg cube, instantly all of the infected Starfleet youth are changed. It was just too magical. When the Enterprise D, a Galaxy-class ship is absolutely huge. It is a giant starship. When it flew around inside the Borg cube, and granted, I don't know what the dimensions are inside a Borg cube, but when it flew around inside the Borg cube, it was just silly. It was like it was a runabout inside there. There was a lot I just could not give my full endorsement to. Having said that, I cried the first time I watched it, I'm sure, and I'm forever grateful that we got to see the bridge of the Enterprise D again. But Picard is just not my favorite. It is just not, it was too complicated a story. All 3 seasons combined, it was needlessly complicated and convoluted. I just could not enjoy it as much as I wanted to.
It's like we've been saying, right? Yes. If we separate the seasons, each one has its own yays, nays, whatever. As a whole, it's ridiculous.
It's 3 different shows all in one. Like, you just, as a whole, it's a terrible.
It's so bad. Yeah. It's so bad. So Grayson's making really good points because, it was because it's such a short season. It was all like, oh, poof, destroy and they're fine, And he was like, it was just too magical. Like, of course, in Star Trek, there is a suspension of disbelief, but there should be some kind of like, there's usually a technobabble reason behind it. And for this, it was like, blow it up. Blow it up. And unhook Jack.
They gave a lot of that in the previous episodes. That was the whole, like, I think that's one of the issues, again, when we're taking a story we're usually used to in an hour and spreading it out across, like, I think we got the technobabble in the previous episode. But no, his points, I'm not mad at. It's, again, that suspension, it is a TV show. Like, it's interesting when he was talking about the scale. I'm like, only because my son is really interested in space and stuff, and he's watching all this stuff on YouTube. So he was just watching a video the other day, really about like the scale of planets, and it's like they are huge. Jupiter is far more bigger than we ever could really imagine it. But we're used to seeing the Enterprise, against these planets, and it looks pretty massive to it. So I think that's just the TV scale, like production size of things. Because we've never seen the D move like that. I loved it. It required some suspension of disbelief, but it's new technologies. Hey, it's there. It's not impossible. We're just used to these small things. Haven't been properly scaled. Hey, TV budgets.
But and he's mentioning that it was going through like a runabout in the Borg cube. So he's like, this thing had to be extremely massive. Like if it was going through Jupiter, that's one thing. But this was supposed to be a Borg cube that when we saw it in TNG, it was like this and like this, right? And now all of a sudden, this is now inside
This one was in Jupiter, right? Or whichever planet was Jupiter or Saturn. It was like a chunk of the planet, or it was hiding in. Issues. It's not perfect.
Issues. Yeah, it's not perfect. It's not perfect. But for my Bev heart, I definitely give this a 4. Okay, and so I have to, because we got Beverly again. We got everybody again. I'm giving it 4 poker games. It's just. It was so good to see the stuff that we didn't get to see her do in TNG. And Terry's like, we're going to take this and run with it. And Gates is like, this is what I want to do. Cool. Badass Bev, shoot with phasers, getting shot, doing all this stuff. And, it just showed the overall character as a whole that we all knew that she was capable of doing, but it was just nice finally seeing it on screen. So what would you rate the final episode?
As an episode by itself, a 4. As a viewer of the episode and a Trekkie fan, and you start throwing in all that stuff that's unquantifiable, it's a 5. But I think as an episode, yes, it's a 4. It's strong, but there are some holes. There are some issues. There are things that I can see push fans or whatnot. That's let it push you. It's okay. For me as a fan, it's a strong 5, but I said that a lot of that is unquantifiable. That's who I am as a fan. That's my experience, what I bring to it. But as an episode by itself, when I kind of take away a lot of my biases, I would probably say it's a strong 4. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. I think too, as we were kind of saying, suspension of disbelief, and everyone loves it and hates it. It's just, Grayson still is a fan of Trek, right? Like he's not going to be like, oh, they ruined it. Unfortunately, we dealt with that when Starfleet Academy came out, and it was such a horrible thing to see this. I don't know if you got it, but I got a lot of crappy comments on my stuff, and it was just like, go away. I'm just trying to enjoy something. And it's just like, guys, again, it's as much as we all love Trek, it's still a TV show. These are still people. These are characters. They're not real. Okay. Even with Beverly, like, oh, I wish they did this with Beverly, but I'm not going to go to Gates and be all like, how dare you not do she's just acting it out. I just don't understand the hate that a lot of the new Trek, and I'm saying NUW, not NU, is getting, the modern Trek is getting, because again, it is telling the story. But follow Grayson, his podcast, The Prime Detective. If you love crime stories and Star Trek, that's your podcast.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out then. Yes,
I'm just telling you, yes. So, but anyways, now I was going to be doing a sick bay spinner, but this month is a little crazy for me, so I'm going to be taking a couple of weeks off. But my next episode is actually going to be at the end of the month, May 29th, with Ed, who had made the comment about, the disrespect of renaming the Titan. We are going to be talking about Beverly Crusher and River Song crossover, as we're nearing the anniversary of Doctor Who. As everyone knows, I am a Whovian. I have River Song actually up on this wall over here. And I want to kind of talk about the dynamics of the characters and how they might be similar. So I will be doing that with Ed at the end of the month. I will be doing a Comic-Con here in a couple of weeks. So I'm going to take some time off. I got to prepare and then go back to my regular scheduled moments. And also, as everyone knows, I've been fighting migraines these last couple of weeks, and I've had to shift my last couple episodes. I was like, I think I'm just going to take a little bit of me time and figure it out. But
life happens.
Life happens for sure, but here is now my redhead alert. All right, guys, don't forget about my giveaway once I get to 1,000 followers on Instagram, because I really want to do lives again, and 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I will be giving away an autograph of Gates McFadden to a very special listener. Currently, I am at 461 subs on YouTube and 575 followers on Instagram, so almost there. So please spread the word and share my content to help me reach my goal. And just like Grayson, you could submit a penny for your thoughts by recording a 60 to 90 second clip on crusherconvo.com, or you can email me your thoughts to crusherconvo@gmail.com, and I will announce your penny live on the air. And of course, my shout outs, my Patreon shout outs go to Leslie, Dave, Grayson, and Elisa, who are my Commander patrons, and Chuck, Engineer Mark, and Johannes Borg, who are my Admiral patrons. If you would like to support the podcast and enjoy exclusive extra content, just head over to patreon.com/crusherconvo, and you can sign up for as low as $3 a month. All right, let me check the comments real fast. Ed says, looking forward to it. Yay! We're both Whovians. I'm super excited. Trek and Doctor Who. Yes. Oh. And thanks to Aaron, who made Wesley Crusher a 11th Doctor. So I'm giving him a shout out. But yes. And Jamie Linden said, what if Seven used Voyager once again? It was her home. I mean, who knows what these stories after that, or even the books that are coming out. It would be nice to see her actually go to Voyager A, B, wherever we're at now, and have her be a captain and stand on the bridge. I think would be kind of awesome. But thank you, Jason, for joining me, and please let the listeners know where they could find you.
You can find me personally, just jclark787, but I'm from the Star Trek podcast from 60,000 Light Years, where me and my buddy Eric Barry, better known as Trekkie B47, we kind of just have looked at every iteration of Trek. So check us out, join us for our conversations. We're gonna have you on for one. Trust me, the invite is coming once a little life gets out the way. Definitely going to dig you in and reciprocate the invite. But yes, STFROM60KLY, YouTube, TikTok, IG, whatever works best for you. Threads, Twitter, we're across from all. But yeah, come on over, join the crew and check us out.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks to everyone in the chat. This was an awesome conversation. And as everyone knows, I love talking about Beverly Crusher, and I could talk about her all day. But anyways, guys, I hope you have a wonderful night. Live long and prosper, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Crusher out.